Hi, I'm Matt Harlow from DJ Case & Associates and Locavore.Guide, and I'm here today to talk to you about recruiting participants for your new adult hunter and angler training programs. And basically when we say recruiting participants, what we really mean is marketing. One of the first things you need to think about when you think about marketing your program is the brand. And branding is one of the most misunderstood terms in all of marketing. So we're going to stop for a second and talk about what a brand is and isn't before we get busy talking about how you can use one to market your program. So the important thing to remember is a brand is not a name, it's not a logo, it's not a slogan. It's all those things and it's even more. In fact, what a brand is the culmination of every experience and every message you've ever heard about a given product in your entire life. And it all appears kind of instantaneously in your gut the minute you think about a given product. So here's a little test. Think for a minute about any of these words in this list. And the minute you do, you get some kind of a feeling. That feeling is the brand of Coke or Las Vegas or the Dallas Cowboys, whatever it is that you stopped for a second and thought about. What can a brand do for you? A brand creates your program's personality. Think about Lincoln and Ford. Practically the same vehicles, minus a little chrome and some electronic doodads, right? But yet they have a hugely different presence in the marketplace. And that's because of a voice that they use when they promote those brands. So it's a consistent set of words, a consistent set of feelings and images that they use when you talk about Ford versus when you talk about Lincoln. And your product needs to be the same way. It needs to have its own vocabulary, its set of words, its set of images that you use to encompass its meaning. Branding is consistent over time. Think about McDonald's, okay? I'm about as young as you can be and be a baby boomer. And so I sort of came up with McDonald's. And when I was a kid, it was your very first fast food experience would be going to McDonald's with mom and dad, where you could feed a family of four for under $5, right? I wasn't quite young enough to actually have been in the Happy Meal craze as a child, but certainly bought a ton of them for my kids. And the other thing I did with my kids is take them to Playland so that I could sit in the corner and have a milkshake, enjoy my French fries, and they could run crazy and play. But then my kids grew up and they got too old for that, and boom, McDonald's changed for me again. They added expensive coffee, well, expensive by McDonald's terms, it's still cheap by good coffee terms. In the McCafe, they added free Wi-Fi, and all of a sudden it's someplace that I'll whip off the road to check email for a few minutes, do a little work, grab a drink, jump back on the highway. So here's McDonald's. All through all these transitions, it was still a handy, affordable, tasty place to eat. That's their brand. But it moved along with all these different services for me that kept it on my radar and really serving that brand for me and millions of other people that were moving along through life at the same time with me. Branding transcends products and prices. Ford. It's a solid, dependable, no frills kind of a brand, right? Well, you can put that same no frills brand on a $65,000 slicked up F-150. You know, it's a dependable, solid, practical workhorse, right? Or on a $25,000 Mustang, dependable, solid, practical muscle. And a Fiesta for $14,000. That's not even a good payment on that F-150. Dependable, solid, practical, entry-level car. So you see how all these brands or sub-brands, products, stack up to become the bigger brand. And you need that kind of consistency in that arrangement. So let's think about your agency, right? We'll pretend for a minute that your agency is called the Department of Natural Resources, right? And that it stands for, nat in a branding sense, not the initials. It stands for Natural Outdoor Fun, right? And you've got an adult hunter training program. It's still natural outdoor fun, but it's also easily understood ways to acquire sustainable protein. Remember, these are not slogans. This is what something means. Similarly, you could have an advanced elk hunting program that's about natural outdoor fun again, but all ways to bag a trophy elk. So then you've got your umbrella again. Everything's about natural outdoor fun that comes under the umbrella of the Department of Natural Resources. And little slices of that Department of Natural Resources pie are covered by the different products. But then even when you held those different products up against each other, there wouldn't be a conflict. Sure, one would fit my needs better than the other, but they wouldn't be bad together. Top of mind awareness. So this consistent portrayal of values, using a persistent vocabulary, offering consistent experiences to your customers, all this gangs up to create awareness. And it takes less momentum, less spending, less contact to get meaning for someone if you've been consistent all along. How do you build your own brand? The first step is to talk to participants or potential participants in the program you're talking about before you want to brand it. And don't get together with the people in the office and pretend that you're potential participants unless they really are. It would be great to get out and talk to the sort of people that you hope will fill your program when you're planning your program. And when you talk to them, what you want to find out is, what do they want out of a program like yours? What do they care about? How do they speak? You want to use words like they use. You want to show pictures of people that look like they look. And what constraints are they under in their lives that you can use to make this program more appealing to them, the program you're developing? Personas. Personas are the secret weapon of marketers. And what it is a profile, but it's a profile of your optimal customer, not an average customer. So it's not 18 to 54, it's this person is 38. It's based on your experience in the field, a little bit of research, a little bit of gut hunch. And again, it's not a range, it's not an average. It's, to the best of your ability, a real person with a name and an age and a home and a family that you're going to describe in this persona. And the most important thing when you're making personas is to have a little fun. Here's some of the things that you could put in a persona. Demographic issues, things about their career, their lifestyle, their health, what makes them tick, that's super important stuff, and what sort of media do they use. And these are all things that you can use to speak to and find your real customers based on these target customers. This is Haley Holson. Haley's married, she has one child. She quit her position in a big PR firm because she couldn't stand the time away from the baby when she got back from her maternity leave. She never really thought about food until she got pregnant, but now she's making her own organic baby food. She shops at 3 farmers markets and 2 farms to get the best meat and produce from her family. She's smart, she's busy, she's concerned, and she's motivated. So when you think about a message to attract a person like Haley, this is the person you want to talk to. This is Lucy. Lucy's a locavore as well. She's married to Luke. He's also a locavore. Their daughter Lark is away at Berkeley at school. Lucy is a social worker in a big city. She found the locavore movement when she was assigned the task of becoming director of an urban garden. They live in a loft in an old warehouse. They grow vegetables on the roof. And Lucy believes that everyone should have access to healthy food and that no person or animal needs to suffer to feed another. This is Ed's experience. Ed is married. He has a 6-year-old son and a 9-year-old daughter. He has a master's in engineering. He's on the fast track at his engineering firm. When he was a kid, He camped in 17 of the 58 national parks with his parents in an old Airstream. And he reignited his love of the outdoors on an overnight with his daughter's brownie troop. Ed is fired up about being outside. And he may decide as part of that he would like to come to hunter or angler training. So you've got to be ready for Ed. Olga outdoors. Olga grew up watching her father hunt and fish, but she stuck with her mom and did the girly things. She graduated from state, got a nursing job right away, married her high school sweetheart. They don't have any kids yet, but they're trying. They live in a rented duplex while they save for a house. And she took up hunting to spend more time with her husband. But she didn't want to learn how to hunt from her father or her husband for fear of looking like an idiot in front of some of these men that are important in her life. This is Miller and Miley. They're millennials. They met at college out east. They dated while she finished her PhD. Now they live in an apartment above his parents' garage while they pay off their student loans. They shop at farmers markets on weekends and cook together. And that's sort of how they found the Locavore movement. They aren't vegetarians, but they don't feel really good about what goes on with the animals that are trapped in the industrial farm process. So they're looking for alternatives. And Neil Newby. Neil grew up in a city, but he has fond memories of vacationing on his parents' farm every summer. He's lived with the same girl for 3 years. They don't have any kids yet, but they're thinking about it. He's got a BA in English, works as a web developer. He is excited about hunting. He loves to buy gear, but he's not sure when the time comes that he can bring himself to pull the trigger. Neil is like a lot of new adult hunters in that he likes the idea of hunting or of fishing, but he's a little concerned that he can actually take the animal or the fish's life when the time comes. So we've learned a little bit about these people. We want you to develop your own personas, but what do you do with them when you have them? First of all, always remember optimal, not average participant. This is your target person, and you want to fill these personas with details, details, details. Then what you do with them is, if you're creating a marketing message, you try to speak directly to this person, directly to the persona in question, right? Then on the far end, say you've got a marketing department and you send them away to make your messages and those messages come back to you, you want to use these personas to test that marketing message. So you say, if I was Lucy Locavore and I read this message, what do I care? And when you can answer, what do I care, for your personas, and it makes sense with the messages you're putting out, then you're putting out the right messages.